The manufacture of an aircraft is a highly complex and lengthy procedure that can take many years and involve thousands of people. But what exactly happens to an aircraft from the moment that it's ordered until it arrives at the customer? Well, today we're going to look at this in detail. In this first stage, the design team will finalize the specifications and configuration of the aircraft based on the customer's requirements. This includes things such as the type of engines, avionics, interior trim, and any other optional extras. Once the design is finalized, the engineering team will produce detailed plans and specifications for the aircraft and its components. These plans will be used by the manufacturing team to build the aircraft. But before they can start assembling anything, they first need to manufacture the parts and components that make up the aircraft. This can involve things such as cutting, bending, and welding together the various pieces of metal that make up the fuselage, wings, and other structures. It also involves the assembly of the various systems on the aircraft, such as the electrical system, plumbing, and wiring. The manufacturing of these parts and components can take place in different facilities depending on the manufacturer. Some manufacturers may choose to manufacture all of their components in-house, while others may outsource certain components to specialized manufacturers. For example, let's say we're talking about the Airbus A320. The A320 is a narrow-body, short to medium-range passenger jet airliner developed and manufactured by Airbus. The A320 was one of the best-selling commercial jet airliners in 2021. Over 10,000 have been sold, with more than 8,700 delivered. Let's imagine a new customer has just ordered an Airbus A320 from their local dealer. The order goes through to Airbus, who then begins building their newest A320. Firstly, they would construct the two main parts of the fuselage, or body of the plane. They would do the same with the wings. Once the main body and wings are constructed, they would then move on to the final assembly of the plane. This would include the installation of the engines, control surfaces, and other equipment. Once the final assembly is complete, the aircraft would then undergo rigorous testing to ensure that it meets the required standards. This would include things such as aerodynamic testing, flight control testing, and environmental testing. If everything is satisfactory, then the aircraft would be cleared for delivery to the customer. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Once the parts and components are manufactured, they're typically transported to a final assembly line, or FAL, where the actual aircraft is put together. This is normally done using a moving assembly line where the aircraft moves from station to station, where different teams of workers carry out various tasks, such as bolting on wings, installing engines, and so on. Each worker or team of workers would be responsible for a particular task or set of tasks, and they would be trained to carry out those tasks to a very high standard. As the aircraft moves along the final assembly line, various systems are installed and checked, including the electrical wiring, hydraulic lines, and fuel tanks. Once the aircraft has been fully assembled, it's moved to a separate area for final detailing and painting. This includes things such as adding the finishing touches to the exterior of the aircraft, such as the logo and registration numbers, and of course, painting the aircraft in the customer's chosen livery. Following final assembly, the aircraft undergoes a series of tests to ensure that it's airworthy and meets the required standards. This includes things such as a visual inspection to check for any defects, a weight and balance check to ensure that the aircraft is within the manufacturer limits, and a test flight to check the performance of the aircraft and its systems. After passing all the required tests, the aircraft is then prepared for delivery to the customer. This includes things such as refueling, cleaning, and arming any necessary equipment. Once the aircraft is ready, it's then transported to the customer's chosen destination, usually by air. During transportation, the aircraft is accompanied by a pilot and engineer to ensure that it arrives safely at its destination. When the aircraft arrives at its final destination, it's offloaded and prepared for use. This includes things such as connecting the aircraft to ground power and setting up any necessary equipment. Once the aircraft is set up, the customer's crew can then begin training on the aircraft and preparing it for its intended use. So that's the basic process of how an aircraft is manufactured and delivered to a customer. As you can see, it's a long and complex process that involves a lot of hard work and expertise. Now, obviously, this is just a simplified overview, and the actual process can be much more complex depending on the type of aircraft that is being manufactured. For example, some aircraft require more extensive testing or have more complex systems that need to be installed. Another thing to keep in mind is that the process of manufacturing an aircraft is constantly evolving with new technologies and production methods being developed all the time. For example, some manufacturers are now using robots and artificial intelligence to help assemble aircraft, which can help to improve efficiency and reduce costs. Additionally, there are different types of aircraft that require different manufacturing processes. For example, the process of manufacturing a commercial airliner is very different from the process of manufacturing a military fighter, jet, or a small general aviation aircraft. What about when it comes to maintaining an aircraft? Obviously, an aircraft will need regular maintenance to ensure that it remains airworthy and safe to operate. This includes things such as checking and replacing parts, performing inspections, and making repairs. Depending on the type of aircraft and its usage, maintenance can be carried out by the manufacturer or by independent maintenance facilities. Manufacturers often have their own maintenance facilities where they carry out scheduled and unscheduled maintenance on their aircraft. These facilities are staffed by trained technicians who are qualified to work on that particular type of aircraft. Independent maintenance facilities, on the other hand, are businesses that are not affiliated with an aircraft manufacturer, but that still provide maintenance services to aircraft owners and operators. These facilities can provide a wider range of services, since they are not limited to just one type of aircraft. Now, if you found this video interesting and would like to learn more about the manufacturing process of other objects, please let us know in the comments below. We always appreciate your feedback and are always looking for new ideas for future videos. Thank you for watching.